Welcome, one and all, to the latest edition of the Informed Idiots, Super Bowl 59,
59, yep.
Super Bowl LIX,
Licks, I
the not
saw that. I saw
not
that.
the not like us Super Bowl. Uh,
Yep.
Yvonne, this is a
Nathaniel.
really fun matchup to talk about. I'm very excited to dig into this one. But before we get on the Super Bowl, we want to talk about some of the stuff that we've kind of gleaned from these past playoffs. For me, like, I'm really interested to see what comes of Detroit, because I feel like they're still right there. They're going to get Hutchinson back, but it's the brain drain.
Yeah.
How's the coaching matters, man. So I'm really interested to see where the Lions end up. And Jaden Daniels, man, the impact of a quarterback. I feel like we learned what I learned from this playoffs is there is a dude in the NFC now. There is a guy over there who can do the things that Lamar, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. That's a name now that's over there. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to kind of piggybacking of what you just said. Um, yeah, I think Washington is got the satisfaction of having a very good quarterback, young quarterback on his rookie contract, and I think history has shown that whenever you're able to get good playing out of your rookie contract or your rookie quarterback, then more than likely it's if you can put good pieces around them, because I feel like they already got a good team, but I think a little bit more defense. I know that they picked up what's that corner's name? Lattimore. Is it Lattimore that they picked up? But unfortunately, like they picked him up, I feel like hoping that they can get him over that hump in the playoffs. But he was hurt for the most part, if not all of it. So I don't feel like he was necessarily able to.
He played.
I know he played, but I think he only played like one or two. I think he came back for the second game of the playoffs because he was hurt for the first one, right? So what? He only played two games in the playoffs.
I think that's right.
So
but no, I completely agree. It's the offense is going to be okay, especially keeping Cliff. They should be that should be fine.
That's a huge part.
Upgrades. Everybody thought that line was going to be terrible, and they didn't play near as bad as people thought. So one really good player injected into that offensive line could really propel them to something nasty. But yeah, it's going to come down to their defense. They've got the right coach there. Nobody expected them to be where they're at right now. So they're so far out in front that the expectations might outpace where they should be because they played so well this year. But what a season for them, and the future looks bright.
Yeah,
protect that quarterback, and get you one more impact guy on defense, and be a team for a couple of years.
Now, hear me out. What if we already? I mean, we just saw the news that Myles Garrett wanted to be traded. I'm just saying that would be dangerous.
What's their caps?
That would be dangerous. But also, what I wanted to say is about a Detroit. I am afraid that this might have been Detroit's last window to make it, simply just because of like you've been saying, coaching effing matters, and they just lost their offensive and defensive coordinator. So that right there is going to be huge. Just because
situations though where I completely agree, but we're gonna find out if Dan Campbell is that next level of coach.
Exactly.
I think he is. And the guys who know how to build a culture and build something, right? That team has an identity, and the players buy in, the city buys in, the coaches buy in. You can tell everybody that's involved. It's just like the Chiefs. You go to every game day, like everybody from top to bottom is bought in. And I think Dan Campbell will show us that he's on that level. I don't know that it is the same level next year as what we've seen, but I don't think the drop off is very far if there is one.
I can't remember the last time Andy lost both offense and defensive coordinator, but even then, I feel like it would have been a hard year even for Andy to come back. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but just like you said, we're about to find out what kind of coach Campbell is. Now, I have no doubt he is one of my favorite coaches right now. So I mean, I really hope that he is able to come back from this. But just like you said, I have a little bit of doubt just because, like I said, it would be hard for Andy to do it, let alone a coach that just
losing both. Losing both is a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
No, it really is a lot. It just it's a lot of verbiage for your team. They're gonna have to start fresh, new. The same players that fit for one coordinator might not fit for the other.
A lot of the guys who got jobs, I feel like have been they're a part of that already, or they've been exposed to it. So I think it won't be a whole. Of course, there's going to be new stuff, but I think the system of offense, for the most part, like how they run their checks, all that sort of stuff, will probably stay pretty similar.
Now,
they didn't go way outside of the tree and bring, somebody.
Did they already hire somebody? Do you know?
Yeah.
No, okay. I was gonna say if they hire within, then I can see that not being such a problem. But if they brought somebody in, then I can see that.
Yeah, they brought in John Morton. He was the senior offensive assistant in 2022, and then Kelvin Shepard, and this is his 5th year in Detroit. So continuity.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I think the drop isn't huge. On the AFC side, man, if the Bengals get their defense together, it's going to be it's murderer's row, dude. I mean, these teams in the AFC are going to cannibalize one another on the way to Super Bowls. And as we'll get to when we talk about the Super Bowl, it's clear you got to go through Kansas City at this point. They were not showing any signs of slowing down. That's for sure.
And that's what I was just about to say.
The gap is not big.
What do you mean?
Like from us to everybody else, right? Like we're the best team and have been for the last 3 years. But I feel like earlier on, it felt like we were here and everybody else was here. And I feel like it feels like the other teams are catching up, but this guy right here, that's the great equalizer combined with
the best coach.
That,
yeah, best coach in the
continuity on the offensive side of the ball, continuity on the defensive side of the ball. Multiple guys who've been here for 2+ years in both schemes and systems. That's the difference, really, when you look at all of it. Is Buffalo fired their coordinator in the middle of the season last year, so and the Bengals fire Lou Anarumo, and Big Lou was the whole reason that they shut us down for that half in the championship game. So it just shows you how quick things change. But it's like this guy 2 years ago was top dog there. All these different things that are happening, and the gap is closing. But
I think the gap is closing. But as far as like the margin not being closed, I don't want to necessarily agree with that just because of what we've been doing. There's no team, no other team that has been consistently doing the things we're doing. Sure, Baltimore and the Bengals are in there, and the Bill. I feel like besides the Bills, I feel like the Bills are probably the closest team to us than anybody else. But you just see like I don't necessarily. I think and this might be an unpopular opinion right here, but I don't necessarily think Ravens Lamar is that good of a quarterback. I know he's good.
So I know what you mean, right? And I'll try and say it in a different way, because when you were talking, and as we've been talking about this kind of the gap closing, what's frustrating, I feel like for people who aren't Chiefs fans, even if you are, is that we are dominating the league in a non-dominant way. Like by playing all these close games, we don't give the opponent or ourselves that real like. It's
like everybody wants to see.
We're blowing you out, and our defense is smothering.
Exactly.
Like teams are playing us so tight, but I feel like for the better part of 2 seasons now, with the target on our back, every team seems to play their best when they line up against us.
We're everybody's Super Bowl. That's because we're everybody's Super Bowl.
Feels like we play down to competition. It's like, well, sort of, but we play down to competition until we make a play that puts it over the top. But again, not to get too Chief-centric with that, the point I was making, what I learned from the playoffs is it feels like the gap is shrinking for some of these teams. But its teams are kind of and that's the same ones. Everybody's getting better, but Buffalo is consistent. Houston is not, but they're clearly that team is so talented if they can get it together for a full year. Oh man,
I would say Houston would, or not Houston, Baltimore or Buffalo would be definitely the closest consistent. But even them, like I thought this year was the closest year they had to getting us. And once again, like, and Andy we trust, and Patrick we trust. Like
we're gonna have Rasheed Rice and Xavier Worthy on the field.
Listen, I already have this. Wait next year, and I know I predicted this year, but because of injuries and everything, I didn't think it happened. No. I think next year Patrick Mahomes wins MVP.
I think no matter
I very much think so.
In this Super Bowl, I feel like, especially like you remember when Braun went to Miami, like, and they embraced the villain role, and they all unlocked a new level.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like did you see that somebody asked Patrick who his favorite ref was at Media Day?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I think if people keep doing that and the chatter keeps going, I think that's going to fuel them to.
It's not if they keep doing that. I feel like they've already done that. Like if somebody mentioned this on the radio today, and I can't remember who it was, or else I would shout them out. But if you saw, did you watch the opening day, Super Bowl opening day yesterday? So I watched. Listen, I am a football nerd. I watch everything. I was just watching the Super Media on right now.
Well, you're like a super fan nerd, whereas I'm like ball nerd. Like I don't take all the hoopla and put that all to the side. Give me the.
I just want to listen. I just like watching it too. Like I'll have it on the background, So like
I watch the highlights.
Yeah, no, like same, but like, anyways, they were on there, and whenever they open Super Bowl highlights, they bring both teams on at the same time, and they ask some questions. It's kind of awkward, to be honest, but it's kind of cool. Chris Jones, if you go back and watch the highlights, fucking right off the bat, just fucking Kansas City right in front of fucking Slay. It was kind of funny, but they pointed it out. If you go back and watch Patrick Mahomes, just demeanor, and every time they pan the camera out to him, bro, laser fucking focus. Now to the Eagles, defense as well. So was Jalen. Like both quarterbacks were like very like straightforward with their answers because they're like, I just want to get this shit over with. I'm ready for the fucking game.
Well, last time we were prepping for the Super Bowl, one of the things that I brought up is motivation. And at this point in the season where we're at, this is exactly what we're talking about, right? Like Jordan made up shit to motivate himself to get to the place that he needed to be.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really feel like there's many guys on these teams that need to go to that place to get motivated for it. And Jalen Hurts, if he would have won that game, arguably had the greatest performance by a quarterback in the Super Bowl ever.
I feel like not arguably. He definitely did, but he was lost because
he had one bad play, and it basically cost them the game.
Just because he lost the game. I feel like even if they would have won the game, that bad play would have been completely erased, and he would have been the greatest performance by a quarter. I feel like that still stands true, but because they lost the game, they didn't get the credit for it. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing that scares me. But again, in Andy and in Patrick, as long as we got them two, just like you said in that last one, I'm not betting against them.
I don't think that anybody. In my opinion, I can't imagine something more motivating than doing something that has never been done.
Not only that, something that you've been talking about since you won the Super Bowl last year.
To be a part of something like I could not fathom the depths that I would go to achieve to do anything that I could to help get to that goal. Yeah. I will sweep the floors extra good, like whatever I can do. So when we talk about motivation for this game,
yeah, I feel like I feel like both teams are very much motivated. And the Chiefs, like I said, the confetti's not even falling from last year's Super Bowl win, and they're already talking about winning this year's Super Bowl. So they've been motivated, I feel like, all year to do this just because for some crazy idea that they want to win 3, and now they're going to be like, if they win, they're going to be like, I want to win 4,
They're going to keep going.
Yeah, right? They're going to keep going. Why not?
How long can we do this for?
And on Philly's side, like, what better motivation? That's one thing I was thinking about. Like, if you're Philly, like, if you're Philly's team, Philly fans, like, what better team to play in the Super Bowl than the Kansas City Chiefs, who beat you last time? Mm-hmm. Like, if you get over this hump, like, you get your revenge, you get everything that you've been wanting about.
I think it was something like 15 and 12. The two teams, like, that's how many starters are on the teams from the last Super Bowl matchup.
Okay, see,
like the 27 of 44 starting players are on the same team.
Yeah.
So I think there's plenty of guys who have a lot to draw from, whether it's avenging the loss or going for history. Let's get into some of the matchups here.
Real quick, there's this tweet that I know I kind of brought it up to you, but
bring that up.
So
Elliot tweeted it. I'll pull it up.
Elliot Short Parks. So he is, like I said, I believe a beat reporter for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not exactly sure what he does, but I believe he works for the Eagles social media or something like that. I know that he trolled us last year saying some ridiculous stuff. I can't remember what he said, but anyways, he tweeted out that Mahomes and Hurts are basically the same. And then he tweeted out Patrick Mahomes after 5 seasons, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl ring, record 58-16, 159 touchdowns. Hurts after 5 seasons, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl ring, and in quotations, he's got if he wins this Super Bowl 59. Record is 51-23 versus 58-16 for Patrick's, and then 157 touchdowns to 159 touchdowns for Patrick. The one thing that he's kind of leaving out there, I don't know if you saw it or if you can point it out, but he is counting Patrick Mahomes' rookie year.
Right.
So if we're gonna put quotations, then we should put Patrick Mahomes other year. And then we can fucking pull it up right here. It's kind of funny because I actually have his 6th year. That would be his 6th year, right?
Well, he got what he wanted. We're talking about it right now.
Right. And that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to stir the pot because he clearly knows what he's doing.
But I think
But I will say this just real quick. I think the point that he is trying to say is that one thing that he's not wrong about, and I think that he might be trying to say it maybe in the horrible way, is that Jalen Hurts, I feel like, is underrated in a lot of ways. Like one of the things that whenever you said that Jalen Daniels is here and he was here with all the quarterbacks, you didn't even mention Hurts and I feel like not a lot of people do.
But in that he's not, Jalen Hurts is not a guy. And I was going to get into this point, but do you have anything else you want to say?
No. Just go ahead. I just thought it was kind of.
The reason I didn't mention him is because the reason Jaden has shown me he's a guy. Jalen Hurts has not gone and won the game for them, right? Or he hasn't done it in a way that puts it over. Jaden Daniels has gone and won games for them, right? He put it on his back. He went and did it, whether it was, I don't feel like, and to your point, that doesn't mean he's bad. It just means he's not top tier quarterback. And that's fine. He's a 2nd round pick who has played as a part of like some of the best offenses in his entire career. Now, has he benefited from the talent that's there? Absolutely. If you swap quarterbacks and you give Mahomes Saquon Barkley in the backfield, I don't care who the other wide receivers are. Like that's nobody beats that team with either of the defenses. Give Mahomes Saquon and give Hurts Pacheco or Hunt. How different do we feel about these two teams?
Yeah, I mean,
Xavier Worthy and Devontae Smith or AJ Brown, like go 1 for 1. That's what I mean is that's why I can't put him at that level, right? But he's right under it.
I'm not putting him at Patrick Mahomes level or anything like that, but I do feel that Jalen Hurts does go underrated. He is a lot better than what people do. Than what people give him credit for.
He's a better quarterback than people give him credit for.
And I feel like
have to do much. He doesn't, especially with Saquon back there. He doesn't have to.
But he has shown in games like last year's Super Bowl that he will do whatever it takes. Now, sometimes because he does that, he might, throw the ball. He might make the mistakes, but that's because he is trying to do too much. And I mean, there's a very few people in this league that have that clutch gene. Clearly, fucking Patrick Mahomes sweats it out of his freaking.
The last 2 years, I just feel like, especially people have underrated him.
Oh, yes. And now
he's cleaned up his play, especially this season. Like to his credit, what he has done, I feel like this year in particular is with the addition of Saquon. I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts losing me a game, right? Like that's another piece of why he's on the level that I feel of him is like, if I need a 300-yard game and I put the right plan together, we have the guys that he can make the throws and it's not saying like he'll make some difficult throws, right? But we've got to put the right plan together to give him the ability to hit those throws. He can hit a hard throw, but I have to scheme it up right to ask him to do that. So that, if that makes sense, that's kind of the difference where Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, those guys, when shit breaks down completely, if you don't draw it up right, they can see something, make an adjustment, hit a ball. That's just the one thing he doesn't quite have, in my opinion. But
right.
Ultimately, what we're talking about in my mind is this game comes down to playmakers. Which team's playmakers are actually going to make plays. We know Mahomes will make plays, right? I feel pretty confident that Travis Kelce is going to make 2 or 3 big plays. I feel pretty confident that Xavier Worthy will probably make 2 really big plays. He might have 5 or 6 catches, but I'm talking about impact moments in the game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like AJ Brown might only have 1. I feel like Devontae Smith might have a couple.
Here's go ahead.
Ultimately, the one guy, it all comes down to Saquon. To me, it all comes down to Saquon. I feel like you can get away with letting them have one burst, one real explosive. But I went back and watched some of the playoff games, and most of his big runs, and I didn't watch all of them, but a lot of the ones that I saw, it was like the one against the Rams, that's like 60 plus. The safety, for some reason, runs like inside. The deep safety runs inside instead of outside, and then he runs into the back of somebody while he's trying to run Saquon down. It's like, and 2 guys smash each other, hitting him at a 3-yard gain.
Also, I believe a lot of them are on 8-man or on 11-man front. Like they were all trying to.
When you gamble, that's when he can really make you pay. But these 2 teams are the 2 best tackling teams in football. So, it's going to come down to 2 broken tackles in this game. Who knows which team gets them, and maybe it's one on both sides, right? But like, we're going to get a big play for either one of these teams off of a broken tackle, because that just feels pretty assured to me. I don't think Kellen Moore is going to out scheme Spags. That to me really is what it's going to come down to is they're going to have to make every play that they get in their scheme, every play that they dial. And Jalen did this to us last time, right? Like he's done that. He has shown that he can dial it up and hit everything right. One bad play, one fluky play at that, I'll give it to Eagles fans. And I don't think we're going to get the benefit from that. I think if there's a big turnover, it probably comes out of the hands of Saquon, honestly. And I don't think that's like a highly likely thing, but we force a lot more fumbles than we intercept balls. And I feel like he's going to be juiced and working as hard as he can for extra yards. And I think we could possibly take advantage of one of those moments. What about you? Where are you at with this game?
Again, like I feel this might just be just because of my position with, my job, just all of it. I am on such a high. I really don't, I don't want to say this too loud, but there's very few levels or chances that I see us losing this game. Just for everything that you said. I mean, Andy Reid has come and like his record out of a bye, this is kind of coming out of is a bye. You give him plenty of time. That dude is literally going to scheme up. Just like somebody said, you were just on the Bomba Live. And there was a lot of points that they brought up. And one of them was, it was him coming off a bye. you don't gamble against Patrick Mahomes. So I feel very confident now. Here's the one thing that I also feel very confident is that I feel like if we can contain Saquon, I feel like we can win this game. And one of the things that makes me feel confident that we can do that is our run defense is really good. Now, I know it's taken a few steps back the last couple games, but I still feel like it's one of the top levels. I don't think we've allowed a 100-yard rusher all year long. And I know, again, this might be an unpopular opinion, and it might be because, I'm a Chiefs fan, but I don't think Saquon gets on. I don't think Saquon gets 100 yards on a regular game. Now, if he gets 100 yards, it's one of those instances where he breaks up like a couple 2 yards, for like 60, yards or whatever like that in the first half. But other than that, I don't necessarily see him getting over 100 yards in this game, just because you said this is one of the best tackling defense. So, and one of the things that's kind of funny, like I really think this is going to be one of the best Super Bowls. Last Eagles Super Bowl, I felt like it was one of the best Super Bowls I watched. So I kind of feel like this is going to be just like that. What I fear is that it's going to be the quite opposite of that. That it's going to be like a fucking 21-17, Super Bowl or something like that. But again, it could very much be. I doubt that's what's going to be. But then again, anything can happen.
So just to show the people.
Bro,
this is after the championship game.
This is the AFC Championship.
So our boy works for the Chiefs. And get some pretty cool access from time to time.
Just a few.
But yeah, man, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Even though both teams last time we faced were really tightly contested, and both teams had really good defenses, so it wouldn't surprise me if we get into the 30s again. I think we have a much bigger advantage on special teams this time, but they've been really feisty and really good about forcing fumbles on kickoff returns. So that's something to watch for. Remigio, like he said, he fair caught the first one with like 15 yards of open grass in front of him because he was nervous.
Yeah.
And Trav went to him on the sideline and told him he had to be great. And, he took a dangerous one and had a big return for us. So, guys like that, those are the things that swing Super Bowls.
Well,
you don't get many chances to make an impact on the game. You want to make an impact on the game, just make sure you protect that ball.
I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday, whenever on media day, whenever they had the Eagles, they had the Eagles first, and then they had they switched, whenever they had them in the little platforms, Eagles first, and then the Chiefs. Well, whenever they had the Eagles, they asked their head coach, I'm blanking out on his name,
Sirianni,
yeah. They asked Sirianni one of the few things that that you've been working on this year or whatever, and one of the things that they said that they've been working on since the beginning of the year is the peanut punch. They watched all of the peanut punches pretty much, and have been working on that peanut punch, and I think that's they've been doing that, like to your point, very successfully. So that's one of the things. One of the things that I also feel like we're going to be, just because they said it, yeah, coaching fucking matters. They said it. If I know this, I know for a fact Des coaches know that they're gonna be fucking doing this the whole fucking time.
Look, if we're talking about it on our podcast, then
you best believe they're talking about it every day.
Those players are
on those meetings,
more than well.
Yeah.
So the pass threats versus secondary is kind of how I stated it, but it's really more like passing offenses versus passing defenses, both sides of the ball. I have some really interesting stats that I wrote down. The Chiefs,
you know me, I like me some stats.
The Chiefs press outside the numbers at a 47% rate. They allow a 47% catch versus pressure, 71% no pressure on throws outside the numbers. The Chiefs were the top team in press coverage for the 5th time in 6 seasons. And in the postseason, we are allowing 52% of balls outside the numbers to be completed. So that stands pretty well for us in the A.J. Brown sort of a matchup there. But Hurts is 79% for 313 yards and 2 touchdowns on passes outside the numbers this postseason. So him and A.J. have gotten on the same page. He's feeling
Listen, I was trying to find some like holes as far as like Eagles like defense and their schedule and their stats and everything. It's hard. This team has been pretty good as far as contrary to what my people might believe. They've been pretty good all year.
So another crazy stat and one that I think it's very interesting because of what we're talking about here. These matchups, third down especially. Chris Jones is the only player with 25 or more pressures at the defensive tackle position and the defensive end position this year. This season, Chris Jones spent 53.5% of the time on 3rd and 4th down at defensive end. He has 173 pass rushes at edge, which is the most he's had in the last 7 years. Okay. So they have figured out kind of what we were talking about, the addition of Omenahu. What that really did for them was it allowed them to play with the matchups that they want at the other 3 line positions. Mm-hmm. And so on 3rd down, they can do so many different things where putting Chris outside, now it's going to be really interesting for me to see if that stays the same or if it changes, because the strength of the Eagles line is definitely the tackles. And the centers, both guys were hurt coming into this game. So do you keep Chris inside and just say you're going to eat double teams all fucking day, but we'd rather you eat up Mekhi Becton and the center, whichever one of them plays, or Landon Dickerson? And, so that to me is something. When I saw those numbers, I knew he lined up at the end a lot this year. I did not. That kind of blew my mind. And then it really got my gears going on. Like, what are they going to do with him on the line? Because Pennell, last time we played him, might have played the game of his life.
Oh, for sure.
And that dude is going. I love seeing him walk by the camera on the sideline because they never put it on him, but he looks like he wants to fight you. He is one of the scariest individuals I've ever seen on a sideline.
Yep.
He walked behind me when you got us on the field last year, and it was like, gee, oh my. I thought Kelsey's big, but that dude was. And Chris Jones came walking by. His wife was like 2 people down. And it was like, hello, Chris Jones. Oh, my God. I did not know.
Yeah.
In Mahomes, too. Like,
dude,
people don't understand how big those guys are.
Chris, it's kind of funny. So 2 years ago, whenever we were doing the parade, I was helping out transporting the players to the stadium. It's just a quick little, But fucking Chris Jones and his wife gets home and then the little fucking golf cart do that thing. You know, it's just
Gangplank on it.
Yeah, bro. I was like, God damn, dude. And I'm going up the hill, you know, normally like I had the whole Beach family on a guard, and that thing went faster than whenever Chris Jones was and his wife was just on there. So up that hill was you know.
So getting back to the pass threats and the secondary conversation, the Chris Jones piece of that is going to be interesting for us. Now, on the Eagles side of the ball, what I've seen a lot of the smart guys that I listen to say is that the Eagles were probably the best team at deciphering motion and landing in the right matchups and not blowing coverages. Part of why they were the best pass defense in the league this year, especially after they put DeJean on the field. So for me, I'm really interested to see how that battle between Andy and Vic Fangio plays out. I'm also really curious how much they man up. Because if we get, I feel like overall, people underestimate and undervalue the pass catchers on the Chiefs because you just haven't got to see them all on the field together. But I don't think Hollywood and Xavier are bad matchups with either of their corners. Quinyon's been playing great, don't get me wrong, phenomenal. But rookie on rookie, I'm good with that. And, you know, Hollywood versus Darius Slay. Slay's still really, really good. Don't get me wrong.
You think that's who Slay? You think that's who Slay covers? Is you don't think he tries to go with Xavier?
No, I don't think they follow like that. They play their sides of the field.
Okay.
The only one who follows is DeJean.
Okay.
So
I was really interested to see who they put Slay in.
He'll play top of the field corner, left corner.
Okay.
And that's where he'll be. What they do a really good job of is combo coverages where motion will happen, they'll communicate, and then it'll kind of be a quarters coverage where there's four guys deep. So you have two deep safeties kind of playing more towards the middle. And then the outside guys will man up and take everything deep, but they'll drop at a certain point. But then the middle guys will go man and they'll man match and play man coverage, which works really well when it works. But all it takes is one guy crossing coverage and you get a guy who's running wide open. I think for me, Juju, I think is probably really big for this game.
Well, he was really big for his last game. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that one of our ex-idiots, new idiots, whatever.
Former idiot
was talking about. I think, which I do very much agree with him. I think D-Hop is going to be a huge point for us this game. Mm-hmm. I think I for some reason don't know why we haven't really been using him, but I feel like he can be a huge point. Just period. That dude, what he can do as far as catching the ball, it can be a huge point, especially on third down, touchdowns, on red zones or anything like that.
The catch radius that he has is still there.
That's ridiculous.
And he's never been the guy who needs 1.5 yards of separation.
And I was going to say that before he could very much create that with his speed. Now I feel like his speed and his explosiveness has left him a little bit, but just to your point, you don't really necessarily need to give him now. We need to make sure we give him a perfect pass if it's, a tight pass or a coverage, but you can get the ball to him. That dude's catching it.
And that's what I mean. Kind of the same thing you're talking about is the other guys in the middle of the field. For me, I think is where this game is won for the Chiefs. Yep. You've got to find ways to confuse their safeties. Really is what it comes down to, in my opinion. You got to block up, but luckily for our offense, they practice against Chris Jones. So, you know, Jalen Carter is a totally different animal of his own. But two of the top defensive tackles in the game, at least we've got some experience going against that guy in practice. I think the middle of the field, the pass catchers that people forgot about, the Juju, the D-Hop, Noah Gray, Samaje Perine is probably has one or two huge plays. You know, he's good for an explosive. He has our longest kick return of the season.
I did not know that.
And he got tripped up. It should have been a touchdown.
Now, I don't know if you saw this, but I don't know if he's going to play or not, but we took Sky Moore off the IR. And I believe
he scored a touchdown versus the Eagles last time.
I know. And I believe Hardman is also practicing again.
But
again, I don't know if they're going to play. I don't know if they're going to play or not.
They already declared Hardman's not.
Okay.
Not play.
But
plus, you don't like. There's no point to playing him, because really all we were using him for, we have guys that are playing those roles, and like I think his biggest asset would probably be kick returning. But
it's not only.
I feel like Remigio's clearly a better return.
It's not only about kick returning. I do very much agree with you. I feel like Remigio can pretty much do the same thing that he's doing. It's about knowing the playbook, and I feel like that's why Sky Moore knows the playbook. Well, hello, little kitty. I feel like both Sky Moore knows the playbook, and so does Hardman. If you can put them in there and be like, "We need you to run hot dog," for example. Obviously, we've already run hot dogs, or Tom and Jerry. Those dudes know exactly what they're talking about. They can be like, "Oh, I know that play exactly." We never ran it in our lives, but we practiced it before. We practice it, you know.
Well, they can do the stuff that you hear about all the time, where it's like, "Hey, you remember that game in week 7?
Exactly.
You run that route, and he runs this route from like that.
Maybe it's only one catch for 5 yards, you know, but maybe it's on a 3rd and 1 on, you know, when we really need that first down. So
Cole is good for like, so to your point with D-Hop, we were talking about our buddy Josh earlier was texting with us, and he said, I feel like D-Hop's going to have a huge game. And I said, well, he might have a huge game, but the numbers might not line up with it. And he jokingly said back, like 3 catches for 27 yards and 3 touchdowns. And it's like, truthfully, I think that has a much more likelihood of happening than him getting 100 yards receiving, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of the same thing with McCole. Is McCole might finish the game with 2 catches for 17 yards, but it might have been a 4-yard out that he turned into a 7-yard gain for a first down.
Yeah, on a 4th and 1, you know, yeah,
exactly. Or a touch pass that's a jet sweep variant, so he gets a pass reception. Before he was hurt 2 years ago, I felt like he had finally found it. There for like a 6-game stretch, he had me truly believing this is the best player at the jet sweep in the league. Like because they keep giving him this play, he has figured out how to read the blockers, and he was hitting those creases for some big plays. But yeah, you know, those are the kinds of things that win you the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why I feel like that's also, now we might not play him at all, but I feel like that's another little thing that Andy Reid likes to do, to be like, oh, another little thing you got to think about, you know?
Well, I'm interested to see. So the guy that we cooked last year after Dre Greenlaw went out, Burks, I believe that is. Burks and Bond are their 2 linebackers, and I keep getting them confused.
Right.
One of them is the tight end coverage guy. The other one is more of like the quarterback spy, more middle of the field type of a player, you know, run stopper, blitzer sort of a role. So I'm interested to see how that plays out too. You know, how much do they spy Mahomes? When do they decide to do it? You know,
Well, I think they're going to have to for sure spy Mahomes. Like
everybody does.
Like, listen, they're going to have to for sure spy. Like, just because that dude, whether they like it or not, that dude gets out in the field, he's gonna start.
You know, Milano had the big sack on Mahomes when he was in spy coverage last week or two, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it like took us out of field goal range. Now Mahomes made plays against that later on in the game, but that's what I mean. Where I'm
he's not a huge runner, but whenever he runs, he hurts. So,
well, it's just like I said earlier, Mahomes is the most impactful quarterback runner in the league. When he runs, you feel it, not physically, but like the momentum shift, the like it's an impact play, and yeah, we're for sure going to get a few of those from him this game. Yeah. I think this might be the first time in like 3 Super Bowls that he's come in without a twisted ankle.
Or
2 times ago,
or I feel like some kind of an injury.
Right, 2 times ago it was in the Jags game, and then last year, didn't he twist it in like the last game of the year, and then did it again in the wild card? Because I for sure remember.
I think it was last year that he did the ankle
bunch in the playoffs on these runs, and you know Jalen had the knee thing. Saquon had a calf. You know, Devontae Smith has a hamstring listed. Like those are, don't get me wrong, they might be totally fine, but those are all like, you take one shot the wrong way, it changes how you feel, how you play. That's what this game to me is going to come down to. I hope everybody stays healthy. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I'm just saying that's the kind of shit that happens. You know, Mahomes gets rolled up on and he twists his ankle. That might happen in this game. They're going to get pressure on him. But I think ultimately the talent level is damn near even on both sides of the ball.
Well, I will, like I said, you were just on a podcast, and one of the things that they said on there that the Eagles might, I feel like they might, as far as roster goes, if you put our rosters versus their roster, theirs are probably,
you're going to take Chiefs, but
you're more than likely going to take the Eagles roster. But one of the things that I should feel like it should be a huge thing is that we have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That alone, right there, puts us over. I feel like the definitive factor is them too.
100%. 100%. To me, you know, these two teams, what they're showing is what we talked about earlier. It's continuity, right? They lost their coordinators after their Super Bowl. Same, just like the Lions did. Took them a year to kind of get everything righted back and get the right guys in the building. And now they have them. And because they've had so much continuity with players there, head coaching wise, and a lot of the position coaches, you have continued success. It's just really, for me, it comes down to they have 2 rookies in the secondary. I think they both played incredibly well, but, you know, I don't think they played Andy Reid yet. And I don't think they paid Mahomes yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they're really tested. Because like you said, I was on that pod earlier and I asked a genuine question. What's the most they've been tested this year? Like, what's the most adversity that team has gone through?
Like, what's the best team they played?
Being dominant in the Ravens or the Rams.
Yeah.
You know, or the Commanders, depending on how you feel about the Commanders.
Right.
Right. But it's like, and that's what I mean is the Chiefs, the reason everybody is so frustrated with them is because we're not dominating everybody. We don't have a guy running 65-yard touchdowns. We're not throwing bombs down the field anymore. We're just kicking the shit out of everybody.
We don't have the best roster, or we have a really good roster, but we don't have, you know, the number 1 wide receiver, one of the top 10 wide receivers. We don't have the number 1 running back, you know. So I very much agree. And for some reason, this one thing that kind of bothers me, for some reason, Chris Jones doesn't get as much publicity as much. Like everybody's talking about Jalen Carter. What Chris Jones has been doing is remarkable. Nobody's really talking about that.
I need to find it again, but I'm pretty sure he was the most double teamed player in the NFL this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was like 70% of the snaps that he takes, he's double teamed.
Yep.
And it's like, and he's still
making an impact. Like he might not be getting the sacks, but if you see them, he is clearly getting pressure.
The stats may not be there, but the reason George Karlaftis had 3 sacks against the Houston Texans is partially because of Chris Jones and the attention that had to be paid to him.
Oh yeah.
And so, these matchups are going to be really fun and really interesting.
That's the underrated. I feel like if someone was to be like, who do you feel like is going to be that X factor? If it's not Leo Chanel, who has been the underdog, who's been that dude for us all year long. I feel like people are going to know who Leo Chanel is in this game, and also George Karlaftis. I feel like Big George has been just. I feel like because
George has moved his level just enough to be on the next level. Mm-hmm. He's not at that
no,
right, crazy, but because he's right below it.
Yeah, because Charles and Chris Jones are going to be probably the 2 people getting double team, if not getting the most, priorities. Mm-hmm. I feel like Charles is going to be being left one-on-one a lot, and therefore giving them plenty of time to make some plays.
It's going to come down to the secondary tackling.
For sure.
Guys have to continue to run to the ball.
Yeah.
On every run, every time you see 2-6 with the ball, you have to keep chasing.
Well, one of the things that you've seen that I feel like that we've been really good at is not allowing that running back to get to the secondary. Like we've been stopping that running backs a lot Najee I keep saying Najee Harris, but Nadi
Derek Nadi.
Derek Nadi is a huge help for us on the run game. So I feel like he's also probably going to be an underrated person on our defense.
The Eagles were number 1 in the league in yards before contact this year, 2011. They had 1,037 yards after contact, which came down to a 1.7 yards after contact average. They were tied with Detroit this season with 29 rushing touchdowns. So those stats they're kind of wonky because the tush push is in there.
Yeah.
So the yardage, I don't know how they count that in the contact stats, but that could skew it a little bit. But really, what it did kind of show me is, don't get me wrong, Saquon is arguably the best running back in football, but we've gone up against really good running backs before. We've gone up against good offensive lines before. If you can tackle, they've shown we can keep them limited in their yardage. There were multiple games this year where, don't get me wrong, he had 100+ yards rushing, but they held him without a score. Now, some of those were because he ran down to the 1-yard line and got tackled. I think he was the number 1 player in getting tackled inside the 2 this season, or some ridiculous stat like that. So it's not, not like we're saying they're not good, but it's been shown that you can kind of control him, contain him a bit, not let him completely wreck the game for you. Mm-hmm. And I trust that we'll be able to do.
We've been able to do a really good job versus Derrick Henry, and that dude I feel like is more of a. I know they're both man of mans, but Derrick Henry is a man of man.
It's something different.
Yeah, so I feel like if we can contain him, I feel like we have a really good shot of containing.
When we dealt with Derrick, like peak Derrick as well.
Oh, right.
On the Titans. And don't get me wrong, it's totally different, but
and this might be peak Saquon.
A wide receiver was on that team, AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And so like we've you know what I mean? We've played and had to worry about him outside and an absolute terror in the backfield. There's a little difference because Jalen Hurts is much more of a running threat. But I don't I don't know how healthy he is, right? And that's a big question mark.
That's the big question mark.
What's
Now
he
he's
gonna
had
do
2
with his
weeks,
leg?
two,
Because
3 weeks
that could
to
set this game apart.
yeah. Now he's had two,
Yeah,
3
2 full
weeks
weeks to
to
get right.
yeah. Now, yeah, like I said, he's had a little bit of time to heal up, but just one thing that bring back to your point, and I kind of brought it up too, is just because you get done with the injury and you're able to come back doesn't mean you're 100%. It takes a while for you to get back to 100%. So he might just be getting to 100%, but one wrong turn, one big, wrong tackle, and that knee could get back to injury to get to hurt. You saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes, like we were just saying, whenever he tweaked his ankle. So, it happens.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the injuries again out of anything, but like these guys are coming in with some nicks. And don't get me wrong, I think our guys probably have some injuries that carrying in as well, clearly, but these ones have been shown to be impactful.
I feel like theirs are a lot more recent than ours.
Their center situation is the one thing that really could swing this game.
Yeah. No, we've been coming on like season injuries. They've been coming on like playoff injuries.
Right. And don't get me wrong, the Commanders' defensive tackles are arguably the best pair in the league, if not one of the top. So, they didn't wreck the game for Philly. Philly ranked 55 on them, had 7 rushing touchdowns. But that defense is not our defense. So it'll be interesting to see how everything tears out.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited to see.
Now, we're not superstitious, right? We are a little stitious. So we were talking in the warm-ups, like, what are you doing for the game? Where are you going to be? And both of us, of course, said, well, I'm going to the place that I was last time when I watched these games. And I can't go to where I was last year because I was in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm not going to fly down there for the game this year, just to watch it in my brother-in-law's house. But I will watch here at my house again, where I watched 2 years ago. So, and you're going down to your cousin's?
Yep,
said, right?
yep, Andres' house. So I've watched it over at his house the last 2 years. It's kind of an asterisk. His house / his family's restaurant.
I was going to say. Now, you did tell me that
because
if we aren't playing well at halftime, you're going to leave the house.
Yeah. So the first year, 2 years ago, we started off at his house. Around halftime, he notified me or told us that a bunch of his family friends are over at his family's restaurant, and that we wanted. And he's like, we should go over there and celebrate with them. Therefore, we did. And then last year at halftime, whenever we were down, we were a little bit scared. He was like, well, last year we did go over there. So I told him, let's fucking go. Vámonos the way. And entonces, so we left and went over to his restaurant. So I invited like our friend Josh, who we were talking about. I invited him over to watch the Super Bowl with us. And I've been telling everybody that I've been inviting, listen, you're more than welcome to come and watch it with me. But don't be surprised in the middle of the halftime while, Kendrick is out there not like us, and, we're going to be fucking jetting over if we're down or feeling, some kind of nervous way.
For sure.
So, yeah. So that's definitely, like I said, I'm going to be trying to wearing the same stuff that I wear. I can't remember what I wore last year, but I can only remember a few things that I wore. I'm going to try to remember to wear those, bro. Like I got some lucky socks.
I purposely wore the the field gear, the sweatpants that you gave me for my birthday this year. You got me some of the like official sideline.
Bro, I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah,
so
they're gangster.
Yeah.
But I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. So I was like, all right, I got to wear them through the playoffs to like build the good luck into them so that I feel comfortable not wearing like one of my normal pairs of pants that I wear for the big games. But I got my Mahomes shirt that actually, no, I wore the Super Bowl shirt for Miami.
Nice.
What I've worn. So I'll wear that. I wore my sideline sweatpants, and then my Chiefs Super Bowl Miami socks.
So I already have my outfit picked out as well. I don't know. I haven't shaved in a while as well but I even got the player because our team did the player stash or this playoff stash. So I won't be shaving just because, again,
until after the game.
And then I bought the I don't know if you saw what they were wearing yesterday, but the first day playoff gear, or the Super Bowl gear, I bought that. I bought the top. I don't. If it gets here in time, I'll wear that to Andres' house. If not, I have a hoodie that I wore last year that I'll be wearing that instead. Just because I'm telling you, saying like I'm pretty sure I have it to. I'm pretty sure I know what I wore. I might wear different shoes, the same shoes that you saw me wear there in the AFC Championship. I might wear those, or I might wear. Actually, you might be able to see them right here. The my Jordan Bread. So because I believe I wore those over to his house yesterday. So or last year.
Yep,
I should say. So I'm telling you, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious.
Well, I think this is going to be a super close game,
bro. It's going to be such a. I'm so excited for this. I've been so excited for this matchup for a while. I was really hoping Philly or not Philly. I was really hoping Detroit, was here instead of Philly, just because I was really hoping to see that matchup.
They feel like they've earned the right to.
But Philly definitely, yeah. Saquon is a beast. Yeah, Hurst is a beast. I'm really excited to see these two teams match up against each other once again.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back. Maybe we'll do a live stream on Sunday after the game.
After the game, for sure.
Depending on how we feel.
Listen, it might be late after or soon after, depending on who wins. But yeah. Listen, because if we go to the restaurant, bro, that's smack down the middle downtown. So there'll be cars. We'll be celebrating, throwing fireworks. You never know. You never know. It's
going to be a good time, hopefully.
It's
going to be a great game.
It's going to be a good game for sure. For sure.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I won't see you on Sunday, but I'll talk to you.
Yep. No, we'll for sure be talking. Oh, I got some confetti too.
Oh, I need some of that. Put that in a little baggie hanging on the wall next to
Yes, sir.
To the flags.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
All right.
Thanks for being with us.
We're
going to try and keep doing this more consistently. Once again, just like we always say. But thanks for your time. Deuces.
Idiots out. Deuces. Hey, Luca, welcome to the Lakers, buddy. Woo-hoo-hoo.